This segment is all about breakups, broken hearts, and moving on. Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial, and this segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to grow their businesses, educate consumers, and to leave a legacy. Joining me on this segment is Janice Formichella. She's the host of the podcast Breakups, Broken Hearts, and Moving On. Janice, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
Janice, please tell us a little bit about the show and who's your audience? Who should be listening?
Anybody who is trying to heal their heart after a breakup should be listening. So it's called Breakups, Broken Hearts, and Moving On because it's basically a library of resources for anybody who wants to put their breakup behind them, process their last relationship, and then figure out what they're going to do with the opportunity that a breakup brings. And that is basically a fresh start in life. And so that's the moving on part, is discussing like what's next now that you're, navigating your new reality without your former partner.
Someone going through a breakup or a broken heart, for example, it's a whirlwind of emotion. So,
Yeah.
is this healing? Like why should people connect, and what are they going to discover from your show that they aren't even thinking in this chaos and confusion in their mind?
Yeah, so I am a qualified breakup coach as well. And so a lot of people both come to my podcast and come to my coaching services because they've kind of reached a point where they feel stuck. They aren't able to put their breakup or their last relationship behind them, and they don't quite know why. And so I come in as a third party, objective, compassionate person and kind of help to uncover the blind spots. And that's a lot what the podcast is about as well, is uncovering and sharing tools and techniques and methods to heal your heart that you can't really see when you're in the midst of the agony of the breakup. So it might be anything from switching up your morning routine to different ways to process to a wide variety of other methods. I'm 172 episodes in, and so there's always something new to learn.
Wow. What inspired you to take this onto a show? Like, knowing your background and everything,
Mm-hmm.
did you spot people having these challenges that you knew that you had information to share, or what inspired you to start the show?
Well, I have to be honest, the impetus was my own painful breakups. So I've had a few, and I've had some that completely derailed my life. I've had some that I learned a lot from. And after a few, I kind of decided that I had learned a lot about how to prevent it from derailing my life that I wanted to share with others, because it doesn't have to derail you. It doesn't have to completely throw your life into chaos. It can actually be a blessing, but a lot of people don't see it that way. And once I figured that out, I was almost like desperate to share this with others.
Now, in your experience with breakups, do you find that there's different antidotes for different people, or
Yeah.
is there like a one size fits all solution? What have you found?
Well, I am very passionate and enthusiastic about the no contact rule. And I will say, as far as kind of like a general rule for breakups, I have found that that is extremely effective for almost everybody. I know for people who co-parent, it's a little different, but even with that, if you can really commit to separating yourself and creating space from your ex, I will say that's probably the thing that I've seen across the board be most effective. That being said, every relationship is different, and therefore every breakup is different, and each person is different. And so I like to, in my coaching, kind of figure out what is holding each person back and then help them through that. And that's also a lot of what I talk about on the podcast. If you're struggling with this aspect of the breakup, this is what I suggest. And there is many, many things, just as there are many different situations.
Now, going into almost 200 episodes now, there's lots of
Yeah.
nuances, obviously, in this
Mhm.
topic. So, what is the format like on your show? Are you interviewing others, or what can we expect?
So a lot of the episodes are just me talking as a breakup coach and giving tips for different situations. And I'm also very, very blessed to belong to a network of dating coaches. And so once or twice a month, I have one of them come on, not so much as for interviews, but for discussions around a specific topic.
You told us a little bit about your background and your impetus for starting the show. Take us back even further. What even inspired you to get into this field? Was it that breakup or was there more to it?
Well, I was divorced about 12 years ago. And at the time I was involved with a lot of my friends who were life coaches. And so for whatever reason, I was able to look at my divorce, although I was devastated, and say, I'm going to learn and grow from this. And I did. And so that kind of put the idea in my head. And I went looking for people who specialized in breakup coaching, and I didn't see anything at the time. So I did kind of have the seed planted. And then a couple of years later, I went through another breakup that did completely throw me off and did derail my life. And then once again, I thought it would be really great for there to be something to help people through this. Because at the time, my own support network and the people closest to me had kind of gotten a little worn out from supporting me and talking me through it and listening to me go on and on about it. And that also put the idea in my mind, because I think our friends and family and loved ones, they're there for us, I hope, but it also gets to a point where that's kind of been exhausted and where you can use those people for other things. And that's where someone like me comes in.
Janice, before I ask you my last question, in regards to your show and breakups and broken hearts and moving on in general, is there anything that I didn't think to ask you that you feel is really important to share with the audience?
Oh, what a good question. Thank you. I think I just really want to focus on the concept that a breakup is an opportunity, and a lot of people don't see it that way. And that's a big part of my philosophy, is that we only get so many fresh starts in life. And I really, part of the point of the podcast is for people to see it as a blessing rather than something to burden them.
That's really sage advice. For folks listening who would love to connect with you and learn more and tune into the show, where's the best place to connect them? How can they find you?
Well, you can find Breakups, Broken Hearts, and Moving On wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also find me at breakuppod.com.
Janice, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and your show and all of your audience.
Thank you so much, Mark. This has been really fun. I really appreciate the invitation.
That was Janice Formichella, host of Breakups, Broken Hearts, and Moving On. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.